Hello and welcome to my series, An Interview with the Fool, a tarot study and journal practice using the classic design tarot, which is the original tarot, which is a Rider-Waite-inspired tarot card. So any version of Rider-Waite tarot would work with this study. It doesn't have to be this exact tarot card, even though I will link it below, but it could be any Rider-Waite tarot card. And you will also need a pen and a journal, because this is going to be an exploration and journaling into understanding the tarot. We start with the Fool, and we're going to be going through all of the 78 cards. So I do believe that tarot is a lifelong study. In this series, we're going to be going through how I like to learn the tarot and understand each tarot deck that I have. There are many, many ways to study tarot, and some people have their opinions about going through the cards one by one like this. I enjoy it. It's how I really like to learn. And if you are inspired by this method, please join me. I hope that it works for you. It's kind of like a conversation with each card. I will be doing this study with all sorts of other decks too. I just feel like this one's sort of a really good way to start with the Rider-Waite. So in this series, we're going to study one card at a time through observation, symbolism, and imagery. Research, we're going to be looking at the intention given to each card in the book. Reflection by journaling, and intuition. Rather than just asking each card what it means, I'm curious what happens when we sit with it long enough to let it speak to us, along with weaving that in with the definitions in the book. So grab your deck, grab your journal, grab a pen, and let's start with the Fool. When you look at the Fool, before we even go into the book, before we even go into what the meaning is attached to it, we want to ask, who are you? What do you notice? What emotions arise? Though I do not believe that there are cards that are purely negative or positive or evil or benevolent. I do think you can gather a feeling or an emotion when you look at each card. What stands out first? I'm going to write what I believe, and I invite you to do the same. But before I say anything about what I gather, I'm going to give you a moment to write it yourself so that you can get your perspective that is not swayed by me or anyone else. So I'm going to go ahead and write. Please do the same. All right, now that you've taken a moment to write down your initial impressions, I'm going to just say a little bit of what I noticed. The first thing is that this person seems to be walking blissfully off a cliff. And the sun is shining, and it's bright yellow in the background. There isn't really anything to indicate that this person feels that they're in any kind of danger. They have a little friend with them. They're not alone. They have a friend to help guide them. To me, it doesn't look like this little dog is warning them or telling them to stop. It looks like they're just excited and they're going on an adventure. You could say that this person may be a little ill prepared with like one teeny tiny little knapsack. Either they're not going to be gone for very long, or they just don't have everything that they need. And this little leather boot that they're wearing seems like it would be very uncomfortable to be walking on a cliff. So I say that they're ill prepared. It is sunny and they are just blissfully distracted by wonder, I'd say. That's what I get from this card. One thing also is that it is the number 0. To me, 1 would always indicate the beginning. 0 is nothing. Nothing has happened yet. So I always have found that to be sort of interesting. In a way, this could almost even just be a daydream, something that happens before you even begin. It's somebody who's maybe just blissfully thinking about doing something without thinking about everything required or what they need to be prepared for. Let's just put it that way. All right. Now let's read the description of what the book has to say with the question in mind: what are you here to teach? And as I read it, I'm going to ask you to take note of what stands out, what resonates, and what is a defining feature or explanation that really opens up your understanding of this card. Because I'm going to write down the description that I'm left with, that I'll remember, that resonates with me. Even though this is very short, the description, it's still a lot to memorize for anybody. I wouldn't expect anybody to memorize this whole book. That's not the point of what I like to do. That's not very realistic. For me, I just like to read the definition, take the greatest hits of what stands out to me, and write them down just so I have something easy to refer to. It helps me to remember. I feel like a pen to the paper, to read it out loud, it audibly, you hear it, you say it out loud, and you write it. I just feel like that's a really great combination to remember anything. So the Fool says, upright, it's new beginning, innocence, adventure, and spontaneity, optimism. And reversed, which either if you do or do not want to read reversals, I don't think it matters. I think it is always good practice to acknowledge what a reversal could mean, and you could use it depending on what other cards that you have in your spread, if you don't want to do reversals. So reverse, it says reckless, naivete, holding back, foolishness, and hesitation. So I always pause here, and I think it's so interesting that the upright version says nothing about being foolish, but the reversed side does. It's only foolish when it comes in a reversed meaning, or when it's upside down in a reading. I think that's interesting, an interesting interpretation. The Fool shows a carefree youth at the edge of a cliff, sunlight on his face, a small knapsack over his shoulder with a white rose in hand. Even his little dog is either warning him or excitedly urging him on. Upright, this card represents new beginnings, optimism, and a leap of faith. It invites you to trust the journey and embrace the unknown with playful heart. Sometimes you just have to go for it. The Fool reminds you that every adventure starts with a single step, even if it's off a cliff. Reversed, the Fool can warn against reckless behavior, or on the flip side, suggest you're hesitating out of fear. It's a nudge to check. Are you being adventurous or just careless? Courageous or simply afraid to move forward? So I invite you to just take a moment to write down what you feel really embodies the message behind this card, if it's not already in what you wrote from your intuitive description of what you noticed in the imagery of the card. What do you get out of this definition from the intention behind the person who put this together? Compiled by Magic Seer. And now, once you're done with that, you can ask yourself, what may I be misunderstanding about this card? Are there any preconceived notions that you had about this card that you didn't see when you were looking at it today and that you didn't read in the description? And then imagine that you pulled this card for yourself today. You were doing a reading for yourself and you pull one card only, and this is the card that you get for whatever is happening in your life at this moment. How would you interpret this card? Take a few moments and write how this card would embody your life for today. What does this card mean for your life right now? What meaning could you distill from it? You could also ask yourself, what am I learning from this card? I think these are important questions to ask because every time you ask a question, the answer will be different based off of the question that you ask. If you ask about love, it's going to mean something different than if you ask about career. Your interpretation will be different based off of the question that you ask. And whatever is happening in your life currently will inform your interpretation of the card. Intuitively, you're going to notice something different every time you look at the card. Maybe next time the mountains in the background will stand out more, or the sun shine well. Or maybe you'll be mesmerized by the pattern of what this person's wearing, or the colors are going to be more significant to you. It just depends on where you are at that time when you're reading the card. So that will conclude our study of the Fool. I hope that you enjoyed this session, and before we part, I'd like to leave each interview with every card with a single word. And the word I'm thinking of, actually, I'll give you an opportunity to write down a single word that you feel embodies the card before I tell you mine. My word for the Fool is optimism for today. If I were to be doing this study tomorrow, it would probably be different. And we will be studying the Magician in our following video. I hope that you join me. Until next time.